Good afternoon.
Hey, man.
Lauren, how are you? Let's get this thing started the right way. So I know Lauren's going to ask one damn question: who's my starting five after day one of practice? So let's knock that question out right from the jump. I guarantee if Io was here, he'd be in that lineup. Unfortunately, he's in the Bulls practice. Other than that, I couldn't tell you. But good to see everybody. Glad we're back. It's exciting to get started with this group. I've been anxious. I've been looking forward to it for a long time. We've had a very productive fall. It was very nice to have a good summer and get back to that. Brandon Lee, Andre Cabello, Coleman Hawkins didn't get one of those a year ago, so it was a big part of their growth and development to get back to that, and I'm excited about that for those guys. Need to answer that? But it's nice to be working with a veteran group. I'm excited about the fact Trent Frazier, Devontae Williams, both super seniors, have returned. And I'm excited for this group because I think they have accepted the challenge of remembering what that last game feeling was. And knowing that, I don't know what we won, 14 or 15, 15 to 16, whatever it was to end the season, how abrupt your season can end and how distasteful that can be. And this group has taken that very seriously. They've got some challenges in front of them with a very difficult schedule, as we always do. There's no doubt the Big Ten will be as good as it's ever been, and those present nightly challenges. So, I think that as we move forward as a collective group, we've got to be tougher than we were a year ago. I think we've got to be mentally more consistent. We can't just be when things are good, when things are easy. We've got to learn to fight through a little more of the tenacious moments, the downtrodden times. Stay a little more emotionally on a level plane. I'm really challenging our guys with that. We're doing that, again, trying to do that every single day in practice, being as consistent as we can with our efforts. So I'm excited, and I know it's we dealt with some expectations last year. We know we have them again. We're excited about that, and I think we're better positioned this year to again be a little tougher, be a little more resilient, and hopefully as we know the season ended last year, put that behind us, move forward, and take the approach that we just got to go do it again, and be better prepared, and we will be that.
Hey, Brad. You always talk about getting old, staying old. You have 5 23-year-olds and 1 22-year-old All-American. What's that mean for your team?
We're going to find out, isn't it? I've been preaching it for a long time. I like that. I sensed it with our team in camp this fall, the way we were working. It was kind of a, coach, we're working. We know what we're doing. Let's go. Let's get ready for this. It was today in practice. Today was day one, and it was nice to have Trent Frazier walk up, and we were just working on a very basic defensive scheme, and he goes, and I asked him, I said, why'd you switch that? And he goes, well, I know we're eventually going to get to that. And I said, yeah, but let's not, you know, and he's thinking way ahead already, and veterans do that. They know, they've seen so many actions. Trent Frazier, there's not anything anybody can do to Trent and DeMonte that they haven't seen. And that preparation is right now a little anxiety for them because they want to get to that. And yet there's other guys we got to bring along as well.
Coach, with the way things did in last year in spring, was there a little bit more urgency from the guys to get back on the court and get another shot at that and get off to a fast start?
I think that's part of it. You know, I think that there's, you know, this team loves to play. They love to compete. So I think that's a piece of it. You know, I've just literally watched the last game, the Loyola game. Just literally watched it, and it's taken me a while to kind of process all of that. But yeah, it's the only way I know to do it is let's get back in the thing and go do it again. I think you look at around the history of college basketball, every great program has had a hiccup, has had a game that, man, it's unexplainable. And but I think that's what's driving our guys and helping motivate them.
Hey Brett, I think in all of your 4 years before this, you've had a freshman out there immediately. I think maybe just the way this roster is constructed, you might not have to rely on them as much. What does that say about where your program is, and how can that help you bring those three along at a different pace?
Yeah, I think it shows a sign of maybe establishment is the right word. I think that we've established a few things. I'm not saying I don't know who will start. I don't know who will play. But I do think that we have guys that we know are going to be pretty big focal points of the other opponent's scouting report and what we do. And that's a nice, comforting feeling knowing that you've got guys that know what that's like and have experienced that. I'm excited about our freshmen. I love every one of them. They do something different, and we'll see how practices go. But you know, yeah, you look on paper and there's a lot of game experience in that group.
Hey Brad, was there a moment or moments last season where it's made you feel like now the team needs to be a little tougher, maybe handle adversity a little differently, or is that just you see that as a natural progression?
No, I think it's a natural progression, Scott. I think that I want to challenge this group mentally, physically. You know, we're going to do some things I know pretty well. I think that's just one of the things that I feel very confident about. You know, we know what we've got in some areas, and I think one of the things that we've got to do is rise to the occasion every single night. I think we've got to be a better team early. I think we've got to be a better team on the defensive side early. I think we've got to execute better. I think that as you move forward with role identification and roles, I think one of the things that you challenge yourself is to be perfect in those roles. And that's what I'm challenging this group with is being as perfect as we can, trying to eliminate as many mistakes as we can. And I can ask those things of a team that's got a lot of game experience.
Hey Coach, good seeing you again. Coleman's a kid who maybe didn't play as much as he was expecting to as a true freshman coming in, and with this new world of the transfer portal, he could have left. What's it mean to you that he's kind of bought into everything you're doing here with him and your program and all that other stuff?
Yeah, I think Coleman understands. He's a talented young man, and he had a terrific freshman year. He had a terrific freshman season, and I think the one thing that he knows was limiting him, if anything, it wasn't the mental part of the game. He's an extremely high IQ, just physically getting stronger. And he's a young man that probably as much as anybody missed not having a weight program in the summer because of COVID. And he's gotten stronger. He's added 25 pounds. With that comes tremendous confidence. You know, you've heard me say it 100 times, the best thing about freshmen is they become sophomores. And this is a guy that I'm really, really excited about his development. He's had as good a last 2 weeks as I've ever seen Coleman have. So I'm really excited about his prospects for the future.
And how do you envision or feel like in-game scenarios will work this year without that All-American wearing 11 on the floor anymore?
Yeah, I think that's what I'm excited about. I think I'm looking forward to trying to find that out. I love our two new pieces. Alfonso Plummer, you know, is no one, absolutely no one talks about him, and he was one of the leading scorers and most prolific three-point shooters in the country, and a terrific scorer on a very good Utah team. You know, if you haven't seen some of his games, watch him, because he had a few spectacular moments that just shooting the basketball just, you know, are exciting. He can fit into some of those things. I think you know, Omar Payne is a guy who's been nothing but a very pleasant surprise in terms of his athleticism. He's a guy with experience. Both those guys transfer in from high major programs where they've been a part of it, and they've been in high major practices, and those guys' adjustment's been great. So I think you factor those two guys in, and then we got a little taste last year of what life was like without Io, and you know, guys were able to step into that role. So practice will figure that out. 2 exhibition games, we'll get that figured out a little bit, and it'll be a work in progress.
Hey, Coach, you talked last offseason, how excited you were just to sit back and watch those guard battles in practice. What do those look like this year, adding Plummer and helping Hutch to the mix, and maybe Chester as well, fueling that fire a little bit?
Chester doing that, really? Yeah, it's been really good. The other day, Monday, we kind of used some of our individual time and kind of had a little shorter practice on Monday. And watching Curbelo and Hutch go at it. Elite level, those two are really close, and the competitiveness of those two was tremendous. Trent, we always know, does nothing but compete every single day, so he's going to push to make, you know, Trent's one of those guys that tries to embarrass you. If you're guarding him, he tries to embarrass you, and if he's guarding you, he tries to embarrass you. So those battles will be fun to watch, and ultimately it does nothing but make those guys better.
Brett, since you brought it up, I was going to ask you if you watched that game finally. Would you try and learn from it? What was it like watching? Where were you? How did it all go down?
The Office, man, Loyola was good. Loyola played great, and they got their head up, and I still don't have a great explanation, and I'll just leave it at this: they just outplayed us. They were sharper mentally. I tried to go back and, okay, what if, you know, play that game a little bit, and I'm not sure where we were at with that point. Just, they outplayed us. They outplayed us, and you got to pat them on the back and give them credit, but yeah, we can't allow that to happen in the biggest moments.
Coach, a couple of bugaboos for you last year: free throw shooting and turnovers. How can you, as a coach, how do you positively affect those things where you can they won't crop up again?
Yeah, practice free throws. We do that. We spent a lot of time doing that in the summer. You know, there's no doubt we were a team that got fouled a lot. Kofi being one of the most fouled guys in college basketball. I don't expect that to change. We've spent a lot of time with Kofi. He's practiced a great deal in terms of shooting free throws. And I think we made them when they counted. We want to be better. There's no doubt. Our turnover rate dropped a lot late in the season. Early in the year, we were a little bit loose. It's something we're monitoring every day, because I am trying to play a little bit faster than in the past. You know, we were 71, 72 possessions. I'd like to get that up to 4, 5, 6 more possessions a game. But it's like I told our team today, we can't play that way if we're going to turn it over more times than we did last year. So it's just something we constantly bring to their attention, and there's usually a disciplinary result for bad turnover.
Coach, we talked a lot about the newcomers, but the kid also Hutchinson played last year. Everybody around the country is kind of curious, what do you think he'll bring to the table if he's healthy? How can he impact your team this year? And have you had a player like him in the recent years?
Hutch is unique because, there's nothing he doesn't do or can't do. He can play the point. We've been playing him a lot there through the fall. But he's a guy who's a terrific athlete, one of the best on our team. He's a guy that is 6'6", can pop over lower guards. He's a guy that is as good a catch and shoot guy. In terms of his reputation, I know he hasn't done it yet for us. But and then I go back to the year he was sitting out before the back injury, was one of our best defenders. So I think we've got a well-rounded player who's healthy, and now it's just about kicking the rust off. Getting his feet wet again in that competitive environment under the bright lights with fans in the stands, and then we'll see. But I'm really excited about Hutch. I have been. I'm a big fan of his talent.
Brad, you excited to be done talking about Loyola? Sorry, I got one more question for you.
Go ahead. I'm tough.
Do you talk about that with your team? Is that a motivation factor, or do you just leave that for last year?
I talked about it a lot today. A lot. I think it's important that we understand that there are certain elements we need to learn from that. You have to understand, and I want our guys to understand and not forget that feeling. That's a horrible feeling, and I call it the abruptness of the end. It happened so quick. We were on such an incredible roll, and we can look at a million reasons why we lost that game. But you have to understand that game going in, and it cannot be a night where you perform badly. And if you do, you've got to be tough enough to get through that. And so I want our guys to understand that. I don't want them to ever forget it, but I don't want us to dwell on it either. So after today, we won't talk about it anymore with our group. And we'll move forward, and this is a new team with different goals, and maybe as much promise or more. And I'm not afraid to say that, but we also have to remember how to learn from that feeling and that crappy feeling we had in the locker room after that game.
Coach, you mentioned Alfonso Plummer maybe not being talked about enough, maybe underhyped. What have you seen from him that maybe people like us haven't seen yet?
He's one of the best shooters that I've coached, period. And I was fortunate to coach a young man named Phil Forte at Oklahoma State, one of the, if not, I think he still is the Big 12's all-time leading three-point shooter. He's gifted. He's gifted. He's an unbelievable worker. He's a young man that is always in the gym. He's always working on his game. I have loved that about him. He has fit right into our culture. But as a guy who can just literally make a shot with a hand in his face, he can do it off the run. There's not a lot of college players today who can run away from the basket, pivot, and catch it and shoot it, and do it from the range that he can do it. And you make 11 threes in a game at the highest level, you've got some ability, and he's going to be a fun guy for me to coach, because I love guys when they get on a roll. I'll just keep running different actions to get them shots, and that's an incredible feeling as a shooter. But he's a very gifted shooter, and I think got a chance to become a very, very good on-ball defender for us.
Coach, you mentioned that you want to increase that pace of play. You want to make this a more speedy team. Number one, is there a reason why you want to do it this year versus last? Do you feel like this team is better suited for it? Do you feel like the competition and the schedule is, you've seen it from scouting? What's the reason?
I think a couple reasons. One, last year's team was an elite two-point field goal team. You had Kofi, you had Io, you had Curbelo. Those guys were elite at the two-point line. I think we were 33rd in the country, and I may be off a spot or two in three-point field goal percentage. But I think we were 320th in attempts. And this team is going to be a better shooting team than last year's team. And I don't think there's any doubt about that from the three-point line. And one of the things we did this summer was we added a four-point line. We went beyond the NBA line. and put a line down in the practice facility and trying to create different spacing and working on guys' ability to shoot the ball from a little deeper range. And so when you can shoot threes like that, I want to play a little faster. I want to create a few more opportunities. And I think we can do that in transition, and I think it can be something that's a big benefit for us.
Coach, obviously last year you didn't have the fans here. Talk about sharing this season again with the fans and how special that'll be. I know the Lion Nation was crazy about last year's team and will be again this year.
Yeah, it was the most disappointing aspect of last season was that a team that achieved so much, but more importantly, played so hard, had so much charisma, so much character. The first play of the Big Ten tournament when we had fans, and the Illini Nation was there in, I mean, as many as we could get in there, and to see our players' reaction to that, it was just, I mean, the hair on the back of my neck stood up just simply because it was, we missed this all year. You know, the Orange Crush, I can't wait to get them back. It's amazing how many people and coaches talk about coming here, talk about the Orange Crush. You know, we've got the best home court in not only in the Big Ten but in the country, and I'm excited to get back for that. I'm excited for our fans to see it. I'm disappointed we didn't get, a lot of them didn't get to last year, but again, that's was not in our control. But something I'm pretty fired up for this year.
Coach, Chester Frazier was very excited about the chance to work with Andre Crivello. What have you kind of seen from those two early on, and where do you think he might be able to help take his game here in year two?
Yeah, there's no doubt. I think the one thing that Andre's a sponge. He loves to keep learning. He loves different challenges. Chester's a guy that played the position, played it extremely well, and has maybe a different approach, from the position because he played it and played it here. And so I think that's been very, very good for him. Along those lines, I think Tim coming here, working with Derrick Rose, working with Rajon Rondo in the past, has added some different things to Crivello's workouts and a little variety and what's made those guys well. So I think between those two, I'm really excited about the player development piece that those two guys bring, especially to our guards.
Hey, Brad. With Io's departure, there's so many veterans. Is there a voice among the players that they key in on right now, or is that something that will be developed as you get into the season in terms of leadership?
Both. I think that obviously here early we're going to see veteran leadership. Is there going to be a voice? We'll see. I think that in a lot of ways Crivello took on that role. Trent Frazier does a very, very good job of that in practice. Crivello's got an alpha personality. I use that word a lot because he's a dominant person. He's got an extremely high basketball IQ. But he's, I think that Kofi's in a different place than he's been mentally coming in here. I think he's a guy that's, everybody would love being around Kofi. I mean, Kofi never has a bad day, so he provides a great energy and so I think it's still developing. I don't think there's one yet, but I think it's a veteran-led group, and as we move forward through games, that'll kind of play itself out a little bit.
Right over here. You've been doing this a very long time, so it's kind of a different question, but is there anything that you learned maybe at Dodge City at those early days that you still carry with you now, and could you have envisioned where you are now, helping the program get to where it is now in the Big Ten?
I think it's a culmination of, it was interesting the other day. I was speaking at the quarterback club, and I got introduced as a women's cross country coach, scuba coach, an audio visual coordinator. you know, it was all the things that you kind of forget about, and you got to remember sometimes where in the hell you came from, and how you got here, and how blessed you truly are, and I try to stay very humble in those things. I think greatness is something that this program can be. I'm excited to be the head basketball coach here. I look forward to that every single day. I've never been more excited about a start of a practice as I was today. But it's always the simple things that make that. It's not creating a new offense or a new. It's still staying true to who you are and doing the fundamental things and trying to figure out ways to do them even better and teach it better every day. And I've always been that way. And you know, that quarterback club luncheon was a pretty interesting way to be introduced, and you know, helping me remember, you know, what it was like to have a $300 rent or make $300 and have a $299 rent check due every month. So, and you know, I try to never forget that and stay true to who I am.
Brad, what is your team's vaccination status, and I guess how do you intend to maybe still handle the pandemic since it's...
Yeah, and I don't look at it as just team. I look at it as a program, and I think the one thing that I've been really excited about is it's a work in progress still, but we are getting extremely close to being the complexity of our program and the people involved in our program getting very close to perfection there.
Brad, I know you talked about Andre's personality, but did you guys have to have any dialogue in the off season about just what role he would be stepping into? Is it something he just innately understood?
Off season, summer, fall, continual. You know, I think that it's natural for him. I think one of the things that I continually challenge him to do and to be is that guy that doesn't get frustrated with the moment, because it's something he sees or can do, and very few people can go there. Very few people. Okay, and Dre has an unbelievable gift that I don't know many that I've been around that have that mentality. And when it's not to his liking, sometimes he gets frustrated with that. There's a maturity that's got to happen, and he's got to become that guy that instead of getting frustrated, pats whoever, you know, on the rear end and says, "Here's what I saw. Here's how we can do this." You know, you know, I think we saw a little bit of that last year early, where he tried so hard to do so much, and maybe to his detriment. But we saw him grow out of that. So I think that we're in a really good place with his leadership and where he's at. It's a continual process of talking to him, as it was Io or anybody else, about that kind of stuff.
Coach, we had a conversation a couple weeks ago talking about replacing easy baskets that Io got you in transition. Is that, or piggyback on what you talked about earlier, 3-point shooting, is that maybe going to be, instead of attacking the rim in transition, we're going to hit threes in transition more, or is that?
I think it's something that, yeah, I mean, you know, Io was number 2 in the country in points in transition, and you know, we were right at 24 points a game in under 7 seconds, and those were a lot of easy baskets, even after made baskets by our opponent. And how do we replace those? You know, Io was elite in the open court. He had great size, he had great length, speed, and he got layups. And you know, who's going to step into that role? Who's going to become that layup maker? Who's going to become that hard shot maker at the rim? I don't know. I know we have some possibilities, but I also know that we have some different things that we can do there. Plummer being a great example of Trent is another one that are elite shooters off the catch, running very quickly to a spot and catching and shooting, and I think we can do that from 3-point range at a higher level than we did. So maybe something, it'll look a little bit different because we'll shoot more threes, but we still have to find that guy who can attack.
Brad, Omar was a significant addition for you early in the offseason, given Kofi's unknown status. So Kofi coming back, how does his role change, and what does he give you on the court?
Yeah, and he's a guy that has been off the chart. I mean, off the chart. If I give one guy an A+ in the summer and the fall, from start to where he is now, in improvement and development, it's him. And his conditioning's become great. He's spent a ton of time running with Fletch. He's gotten stronger. He's a guy that is always asking questions, and literally is as quick twitch an athlete in terms of bounce off the floor as I've coached at 6'10". And you know, he's got uncanny shot blocking ability, and so I think with him, he and Kofi go at it every day. That's fun to watch. They're different. He's got a very good 15 to 17 foot jump shot. He made 2 or 3 of them in practice today, off just short rolls. Something that will be a great addition for us. But he is, they're going to play together some. There's no doubt, and he can guard anybody. He literally can guard point guards and 5 men. He's got great quickness. He's got that great length with that 7'5" wingspan. So his versatility is something that I'm really excited about, and we've got to find ways to get on the court together with Kofi, and not just one at a time.
Pretty sure we're all excited to write stories about Plummer now, and Pods and Goody in competition at the wing. Can you talk about how it's been going in practice and who's standing out?
Yeah, I think that it's, I'm excited about those guys, and Luke and RJ and Pods all bring something different. They're all 3 guys who can become really good shooters, elite level shooters. And but the transition, the transition is, today was day 1, tomorrow will be day 2 of just continuing to grow. We start stacking things together, you know, and they've got a great group to learn from. Trent Frazier today had pulled one of them aside, RJ aside, was talking to him about, you know, just simply how we handled the simple ball screen coverage. And that leadership's important for those guys, but I'm excited. RJ's really athletic. They're both, he and Luke are tremendous rebounding perimeter players. They've shown that, and you know, then Pods is a guy that can play both the point and the 2, and an elite shooter. So it's been fun to see those guys develop, and I look forward to tomorrow in practice, because I know they're all going to work and get better.
This will be our last one. So. Coach, I know you have some core players back, but it's largely a new team in a lot of ways, with 3 new coaches, 5 newcomers. What's been the process of integrating all of them into the program? Is it a situation on day 1 where you can just jump right in and go, or is there more of a getting to know you kind of process?
I think there's a gradual build-up. I think the one thing that there's no doubt about there's a lot of communication, and that's more internally with staff. You know, a lot of the on-court stuff can be player-led when you've got veterans. You know, it's not a new team. It's not a team that, you know, was year 1 or year 2 where I had to do everything. This group has got guys who have the ability to go lead and teach and understand what we're doing. That helps with the players. The communication piece happens internally with our coaches, making sure they understand our terminology and how we're doing things, and they've jumped right in. And this group is an inquisitive group. They ask. They don't act like they know it all, which is refreshing. And these guys are all excellent at what they do. So, yeah, some new faces, but I still got an ample amount of veterans that can do a lot of really positive things from a teaching standpoint.
Okay.
Thank you.
Coach,